In this video, we are going to do a very quick example with multimodal optimization. This is a fairly advanced topic. I'm assuming you are already knowledgeable in Solution 200, so I will completely skip any fundamental or basics of optimization. I'll just go ahead and go through this example as quick as possible. Now, what are we doing? Here on the left, I have one model, model A1, and here on the right, I have a second model, B1. I've already gone ahead and created an optimization. Here on the left, this model is being optimized for statics or stress or deformation analysis. My goal with this one model is to minimize the weight. That's my objective. And my constraint is to make sure that the displacement is within a certain value. What about the design variables? I'm varying the thickness of this entire structure. Now, what about the model on the right? Here, I'm performing a modes analysis. I'm interested in natural frequencies. I want to minimize the weight. I want to make sure that the first mode is above 4 Hertz. And my design variables, I'm augmenting or I'm modifying dimension 2 of P bar L1. Dimension 2 is known as the thickness, if you will, for this being cross-section. Now, I'm assuming before you perform your optimization, you've already gone ahead and configured your own models for optimization. So here, let's go ahead and open the web app and upload model A1 and model B1. So bear with me while I'll go ahead and track these two models down. Let me go ahead and upload this first model. And I'll go ahead and do the same for the second model. Now again, I'm assuming you've already configured your models for optimization. You've already gone ahead and created your design variables. You've created your objectives and you've created your constraints. Then you perform your optimizations separately. And this is just to confirm that your optimization is valid. So here for model A1, I see that X1 corresponding to the thickness has been created. The objective is defined here. It's the weight. The constraints, R1 corresponding to the displacement, is configured here. So this model, I've already done this model in the past. It works. We're good to go. Second model, here, same thing. I've defined variable X1. I've defined my weight objective, and I created my constraint for the first natural frequency. So let me put these models side by side, just so you know that we've already gone ahead and performed the optimization. We've already gone ahead and downloaded our BDF files, and we're pretty much almost ready to perform a multimodal optimization. So let's go ahead and download the first set of files. Just in case you get a prompt, if you get a prompt regarding downloading multiple files here in the top left-hand corner, just click allow and you'll get the necessary BDF files. Here are the BDF files for model A1. So let's go ahead and create a new folder, model A1. Let me move these two files there. And let's go ahead and download the BDF files for model B1. Just go ahead and do that here too. And like before, I'll create a new folder and put those set of files in there. So there we go. This is our starting point for multimodal optimization. So let's go ahead and use one of these windows. And if you want to access the MMO or the Multimodal Optimization Web App, just take the URL you have right now and add MMO to the end of it. So let me just show you how to do that if, say, you're here on the setup size HTML page. So here, just delete the last chunk, type in MMO. I'll take you to the MMO app. Now, let's go ahead and talk about what our optimization problem statement is for the so-called merge model. So what's happening in multimodal optimization, you're merging all of your models together to perform almost one single optimization. So the first thing I want to point out is this concept of the merged objective. This is where you can take all the objectives for each model. So here I have two models. You can take the objective and combine them together to form an equation objective. So here, for example, this first term, R0A1, this is the objective for model A1. R0B1, this is the objective from the second model. I'm also applying a factor or coefficient of 1.0. And so my merged objective is to minimize this entire expression that you see here. Again, this is a combination of all the objectives from all the models. Now, what about the constraints? How are those taken into account? Like before, any constraint you've created will be taken into account in this merged optimization. So when you're performing multimodal optimization with this example, it's going to take into account all the constraints for model A1 and all the constraints for model B1. So here on the left, I'm performing a static analysis, so it's going to take this into account. Here on the right, I'm performing a modes analysis. It will also take that into account. Your model could be other types of analysis. It could be a flutter analysis. It could be a frequency response analysis. It could be a buckling analysis. It could be static analysis, and the list goes on from there. Now, what about the design variables? Here you'll notice that I have X1 in model 1 and X1 in model 2. Now, Nastran will see this and will assume you want to link these design variables together. So if X1 is changing, it will also change in the second model together. Now, what if you have a different label like X2 here on the left and you had X45? Now, what's going to happen here? It's going to assume that these variables are separate, they're independent. So it's going to change X2 depending on what the optimizer says, and they will not be linked, is basically what I'm trying to say here. But if they have the same label, X1 and X1 here, they will be linked. This is very important for you to take into account when you're creating your multimodal optimization. So now that you know what's going on, let's go ahead and step to the web app and go through the process of setting this multimodal optimization. So here's the multimodal optimization web app. Remember, type in MMO in the address bar to go to this page. Now, the first thing you want to do is create or add a model. So here you see a new column has been created. This is where your first model is going to go. So let's go ahead and select the files. Here I'm going to select the files model A1. I'm going to select all the BDF files and click upload. And here it's gone ahead and uploaded my first model. If I want to change the name so it's more reasonable for me, I'll go ahead and mark options. And here I'll go ahead and change the name to model A1. Now let's go ahead and add the second model. So we'll click on add model, go ahead and select the BDF files for the second model, and we'll click upload. So here's my second model here on the right. I'll change the name so it's B1. And now there's one thing I have to do. Keep attention to the status markers. That's indicating that there's an error in your setup and it has to be addressed. Here, if I go to the very bottom where I can download my files, I get a red message telling me there's an error. You have to go to the section and resolve this error. Here, I want to include the objective from model A1, so I'll mark the checkbox. And then I want to include the model from model B1, so I'll mark the checkbox also. Here in this coefficient row, this is where I can change that coefficient I mentioned a moment ago. Here you can see that the first term is being multiplied by a factor of 1, and the second term is being multiplied by a factor of 1. That's where the 1 and the 1 are. If I want to change that leading coefficient to 23, I can type in 23 there. If I want to make it negative, I can also type that in there. So that's what that is. Go ahead and change this back to 1.0. And now one other thing I want to point out, linked variables. Remember, this is something that's very critical to your optimization. If Nastran detects a variable with the same label, it's going to attempt to link these two variables together. Now, there is a strict requirement regarding this linkage, if you will. The design variables are expressed using the des_var entry that you see me box here on the screen. It's very important that these fields I'm underlining are identical to the one on the other model. So this is the model from A1. So here A1, and this is the model from B1. Here you can see the des_var entry is also here. I have to make sure that this field, second field and this other fourth field, that they are all identical. If you have 4 here for this DD val, and then you have 7 here, the linkage will fail and Nastran will not go through the optimization. When you go back to the web app, this is what this section is for. It's meant to detect if there are errors with the linkage. If there are errors, you'll see a big red status marker. In a future video coming out in the next few days, I'll walk you through the process on how to address these challenges with the linked variables. So again, your goal is to make all of these status markers blue. Now let me go ahead and see if everything's good. Let's go ahead and click on option 1 to download this new auto execute package. Here you'll see Chrome is a little sensitive to mysterious files. Just go ahead and click on keep. After you're done there, let's go ahead and extract the results. In this folder, you'll see that there are about 6 files. So here for model A1, I have 2 files. For B1, I have 2 files also. If I look inside of this Nastran working directory that's been extracted, I see that I have the same number of files. These 4 files are model A1 and B1, but they've been converted to multimodal optimization. You'll also see a few additional files. I won't cover that in this video, but at this point, just to keep the video short, let's go ahead and start the optimization with Nastran. So I'll double click on the start MSC Nastran, click open. The status page opens. Keep and pay attention to the rows that are coming up. Remember, we have 2 rows or 2 models. These 2 models will be optimized simultaneously. Multimodal optimization is happening. You notice that the design cycles are counting up simultaneously. After the multimodal optimization is complete, you'll get a new set of results. The new objective plot, if you will, is the merged objective. That's the combined objective from all the objectives you included in your optimization. So here I included the objective from model 1 and 2. So this is the combined objective of model 1 and 2. Here you see we start at 40 units of weight and we end up at 19 units of weight. Here you can see all the normalized constraints and all the variables that were included in this merged optimization for multimodal optimization. Now, let me make a few other comments. If you want to exclude an objective from this merged objective, just unselect the checkbox and you'll see that the term for the coefficient becomes 0. So this objective is not being included in the objective anymore. If you want to include it back, just mark the checkbox. If you want to add additional models, just click on add model, select your different models. So here, just find your other models that you want to include and upload them to the web app and go about the same procedure I just specified. If you want to remove a model, just click on the red X and it removes the model from the multimodal optimization task. Now, there it is. It's very simple with this web app. If you have any questions, comments, please write me at the following email address. In the next few videos, or in the next video in the next few days, I'll detail what to do if you have linked design variables that have red status markers in the web app. So definitely keep an eye out for that. So that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and that's it.